Welcome to another segment of Coffee and Connections with the Chief. I'm Chief Dean Rondeau with the Wolfeboro Police Department, and welcome to the inner sanctum, if you will, of the Wolfeboro PD. To my left is my trusted Executive Officer, Captain Livie, and we're joined today by SAU 49 Superintendent Kathy Cuddy-Egbert. Kathy, welcome to the show. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you for inviting.
My pleasure. So we're in the month of May now, and the social distancing and all the universal precautions that we've been putting out have really been working and paying off great dividends. And I just want to take this moment to all the citizens in Wolfeboro and the greater Wolfeboro area. Thank you for working with us. Thank you for being oh so patient. Thank you for everything that you've done. The community has been wonderful. The Wolfeboro and greater Wolfeboro communities have been very generous, have been wonderful, have really followed the governor's executive orders and his directives, have followed all the suggestions and recommendations coming from the public health officials. My wife, who is the town's health officer, as well as the Board of Selectmen, have certainly made my job very, very easy. And I couldn't be more proud of the citizens of Wolfeboro, who have done just a phenomenal job of really not just supporting their first responders, all the first responders, the doctors, the nurses, the fire rescue personnel, the EMS, the line workers, the electrical workers, the water folks that we have keeping the water systems in town running have just been, the support has been just awesome. But it's working. It's really working, and we're doing really, really well. Now, we're not out of this yet, okay? We've got a little bit of a ways to go, and we just don't know what, I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow, and neither do you. And we don't know what's going to happen next week. But here's the good news. I mean, I think there's a lot of good things on the horizon that are about ready to happen. I've been following the numbers and doing the projections myself, and they look encouraging. We have to, this is a virus, right? It's going to have to run its course. It's going to have to burn through the population, so to speak. I hate to say it like that, but that's what's going to happen. And we have to face reality, and we have to mitigate the risks where we can. So what the best advice I can give you right now is keep doing everything that you're doing. You socially distance. If you're out in the public and you're going to be interacting, whether you're getting groceries or you're picking up pharmaceuticals, you wear your masks. You're washing your hands religiously. You're using hand sanitizers when soap and water is not available. If you're pumping fuel at one of the fuel stations, make sure you're wearing gloves and or you're wiping down the Clorox wipe, you're wiping down the handle and the keypads for the debit cards that you're going to be putting into the machines and so forth and so on. All those things are very important. Clean your phone. Your phone does attract a lot of dirt and grime and viruses and so forth. Clean the surfaces and the substances that you touch regularly. Your telephone and your telephone keypads and so forth, those common areas. Here at the PD, just so you know, I put out some directives and I changed our policing models to deal with the virus, because we still have to be in the public every day. We're still doing all the things that we normally do. We're out there in the neighborhoods. We're still out there enforcing the laws, and we will continue to do so. And your police department is working very hard for you folks. But I make it mandatory. Personal protective equipment is worn by the police officers, that they're sanitizing their vehicles before and after each shift. So that's very important. And right now, none of our officers have come down positive with COVID-19, and we're using universal precautions, and we are out in the public every day. My wife, who is the town's public health officer, is also a nurse. She's a practicing registered nurse, and she sees patients in the field every day. And she's using the universal precautions, and she's fit and healthy as she always has been. So the universal precautions work, and we just have to be a little bit smarter than the average bear on how we do things in this most difficult time. Remember, Our parents and grandparents, they got through something very similar to this in 1918, 1919. We can do the same thing. We can do the exact same thing. So we have a history to fall back upon to look and see how our parents and our grandparents did it. And you know what, folks? They did it the same way we're doing it right now, right? And we still don't have a vaccine, so to speak, for the Spanish influenza. Okay, we still don't have that. So that happened 102 years ago. So we can do this. We got this, and that's really the point I want to get out. This is a very positive message, and I want you to take it that way. We're here for you. If you have questions, you can certainly reach out and give us a call at the Wolfeboro PD. You can call me, or you can send us an email. If you're close to your computer, send us an email. But stay at home. Stay at home when you can. Take precautions when you have to go out, and before you know it, things will be back to normal. So having said that, I'm now going to turn it over to Captain Mark Livie. Captain.
Thanks, Chief. So as you know, what he just mentioned is that we're sticking with the model as we get into May with the Chief's protocols, temporary protocols, as we keep moving on. So what does that really mean, as I've been preaching for the last couple months, is that the building is still closed as we move into May. So if you do need to come here, an officer will meet you outside. Give us a call before you come. That's one option. Call dispatch 569-1444. And or when you get outside, just call us right when you're in the parking lot, and an officer will meet you outside. So that's how that business is doing when you come into the PD. We just can't have the outside coming in at this time due to the fact of what he's been mentioning throughout this morning. So call before, arrive, all that good stuff. So you're going to see traffic has been a little bit less with the stay-at-home order given out from the governor right now. So that allows our officers to get out into patrol into the neighborhoods, which is nice, with some free time. So they've been getting out to different areas. So if you do see them out there, there's no concern. We're just be able to do that with some time that we have because the traffic is down a little bit. So what's happening into the PD as we just finished April is Sergeant Spera, just was promoted. Well, Officer Spera was promoted to sergeant starting the first week of April. So he is the service sergeant, which is really the community outreach sergeant as his role. So with that role, what he's already established is a new Instagram for the PD, Twitter account for the PD. So with the Facebook, please follow us on those three venues, and you'll get a little bit more information as we keep going. Twitter is nice because you can get something out immediately. Other than Facebook, it takes a little time to get to everybody that we're trying to reach. So another promotion that we did have is Eric LaRochelle. He was promoted to corporal at the same time as Officer Spera. So he's the operational corporal. So those are good, exciting news for the officers as people keep moving up here and getting new positions, new roles, new tasks, new experiences, which is nice. And with that, starting June 1st, we have the retirement of Sergeant Archambault. Now, he's been with us for 26 years as a Wolfeboro police officer here. So it's sad, but it's exciting for him as he moves on to his next career. But the part of that career is he's coming back as part-time.
You can't go just yet. Pulling you back.
So you'll see him this summer as the mountain bike sergeant out there downtown as things hopefully start opening up as we listen to the governors in the future here. So with that, Officer Llewellyn is back in patrol. As we know, the governor has moved out to remote learning, well, continued the remote learning all the way to the end of the year. So that gives us Officer Llewellyn back in patrol, an extra person, an extra body, an extra cruiser out there, which is nice for us. It does help us with all this going on right now, and Sergeant Archibald is retiring. It's kind of like an even give for us and personnel. So, and then with dispatch, everything's normal. Nothing new to report in there. We're still taking calls as everything's normal. You just can't see them as the lobby is closed right now. But other than that, that's all I have for how we're doing operation here in the police department and dispatch.
Thank you very much. And I just want to add one thing to Sergeant Archibald. Here we have an officer that's 26 years in law enforcement. He and I, many years ago, when we were much younger men, we did the mountain bike patrol work downtown. We're bringing that back. And he will be in charge of that unit. So we're taking that institutional knowledge and experience that he has gained, and we're putting that back to use for us. And as a part-time sergeant, he will be in charge of that unit. He will be running that unit. So this summer, you'll see an increased presence in the downtown. We also had written several grants, or I should say the captain had written several grants, and one of those grants was for the pedestrian safety program that we have every summer in the downtown area. And we received some extra funding this year, so that will that mountain bike unit will also be supplemented by these extra patrols and so forth in the downtown area. So that's going to be very good. So I'm very excited about that. Again, it's increasing the presence of the Wolfeboro Police Department when we need it the most, in one of our most heavily congested areas, which is the downtown. So hopefully helping with the traffic control and enforcement and so forth, and all the things that police officers do downtown during the summer. And we have plans for Officer Llewellyn. Here's another officer with a vast amount of experience and knowledge that we're definitely going to put back to work for the Wolfeboro Police Department when the time is right for him. So those are all good things coming up. So be staying tuned to Coffee and Connections and to see what our future plans are. And at this point, I'd like to turn it over to Kathy Cuddy-Egbert, our very talented SAU 49 superintendent. And Kathy and I have been working together for many years. We have a great working relationship with SAU 49, and we cherish that. Kathy, thank you oh so much for being on the show. So at this point, I just want to turn it over to you. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Dean. And I'll reiterate that I very much appreciate the relationship that we have with the police department. And you are always there for whatever our schools and our kids need. And I appreciate it so much. I think you know that. And I have to echo what you have said about the community. The community has been awesome during this shift to remote learning. As everyone knows, that we had to do this within a matter of 5 days, which is a feat in itself. But I think by and large, we were ready because we had the equipment we needed. Thanks again to the support of the community. And we had certainly staff members have learned quite a bit, but they certainly had some background because of our blizzard bag days. So that helped quite a bit. But it has obviously been a learning curve for everyone. It's been a learning curve for teachers, parents, and students as well, and not easy. You know, I've gotten a lot of feedback. We've done surveys to try to get a read on how much we should be doing in terms of asking students for certain kinds of things and how much time online. And but what we discovered is that everyone's tired. Teachers are tired, parents are tired, and students are tired. So we've tried to adjust what we're asking students to do, and at the same time hit those critical standards. And I have to applaud our teachers because I think they're just doing a fabulous, fabulous job with that. We have been involved in remote learning for just over a month now, and our attendance, albeit it's a liberal attendance, but we are over 90% in all of our schools. And so I think that's really an accomplishment because the shift is difficult. Online learning is difficult. I can say from being on the screen several hours a day myself that it goes by very fast, but when you're finished, you're tired. So, and I also know that parents are not only managing their children, but they're also, many of them who are fortunate enough to be able to work from home are working from home. So they're doing that and managing multiple children on multiple devices. And I just want to let the community know we are well aware of that and trying very hard to adjust to make things manageable and at the same time delivering some quality services. We have been trying to deliver as many services as possible. I have to give kudos to our food service program. Last Monday, we served, well, each Monday, bags go home for the week, and in 2 sites, Ossipee and Wolfeboro, 3,200 meals went out. And I have been going to those sites. Initially, I went because I really felt like the help was needed, but I go now. They've got a well-oiled machine, and I go now just because I enjoy it so much. I enjoy the food service staff, and I enjoy just seeing the people as they come through, and it's my only outing for the week. The rest of my work I do online. But kudos, and I will say that we are practicing all of the social distancing procedures. All of our folks have masks. There's a cart put out. The bags are put out on a cart. Everyone steps back, and then folks come and pick up the bags, put them in the cart, and then the next car comes through. So it's a well-oiled machine, and it's definitely preserving everyone's safety, which is my #1 priority in any time, but especially in a time like this. Special education services are continuing, and I'm very proud of what we've been able to do. Susan Merrill, our special ed director, has done an absolutely outstanding job. We are continuing to provide services, including therapies, whether it's counseling that's necessary, or speech therapy, or occupational therapy, or whatever the related service is. We're still providing that through remote services. We have some students who are very complex in terms of their disabilities, and those students have very different programs, but we're doing our best with those students as well. Our guidance counselors have been amazing. They're continuing to provide guidance services. Our high school folks have done a PowerPoint with resources for the community. Our middle school folks have done some similar things and are continuing to reach out to kids. And our elementary folks are reaching out across the district as well. Our media specialists, which used to be called a librarian, but media specialists are very involved in technology now. So they have been integral in making sure that all our devices are going out. And of course, we need to log those devices because we need to make sure that they get back, but making sure that everyone has a device. And they've been pretty busy. Our IT specialists, as you can imagine, not every device works perfectly. And there has to be a lot of vetting of software, and there's a lot more to it than there might seem to be on the surface. So our media specialists have been, our IT people have been very, very busy, but they're doing a great job. We had ordered 50 hotspots because we knew that there were, from our survey, that there were approximately 33 people that did not have services. So our 50 hotspots have gone out now. Apparently there were more than 33 because we got more calls. So our 50 hotspots have gone out, and we're ordering more just to make sure that we have additional hotspots on reserve. I'll also say that our nurses, we have nurses from Huggins Hospital that we contract with. So many of our nurses are not working for Governor Wentworth at this point. They're working for the hospital. And I have to applaud those folks, just like all of you that are working on the front lines. I think we owe you a real debt of gratitude. I know that you're risking yourselves, and in some cases your families, and I just admire that so much. So kudos, and that's police, fire, essential workers in grocery stores, all of our essential workers. And I don't think anyone in the district forgets that. So I want to make sure folks know that. And we do have 3 nurses that are on reserve for our own district, and those nurses are available if you have a question. And they have also been sending out resources, and they will be available to you until the end of the school year. And of course, we can't forget our teachers, because our teachers have probably had the biggest learning curve, and hours and hours and hours. I mean, I've been in contact with teachers that have been working 10, 12 hours a day. And, you know, I think all of the folks on the front lines and the essential workers are doing that. So, but I would say it's still something to be applauded for everyone that is working as hard as they can for the people in our community. So kudos to the teachers as well. One of the things that we have discovered as we've been doing online learning is that, you know, we all want to have high expectations and we all want to make sure that students learn everything they need to learn, but remote learning is different and we can't deliver exactly the same instructional program, and we also can't expect expect some of the work that we were expecting initially. So we have certainly adjusted and talked about what those adjustments should look like, and our teachers have the liberty to do what they feel is right. If they feel like a day needs to be a review day or just a touch bases fun day, that's okay. That's all right. You know, we've not done this before. These are unprecedented times. And so I think teachers are doing that. We know the longer this goes, the more difficult it is going to be to engage students. And I'm very proud of the attendance that we have thus far, but teachers will continue to do what they need to do to engage students. And I've been so impressed with some of the creative things that they have done, still keeping in mind the standards and the things that students need to accomplish. So kudos to the teachers, kudos to the parents who have been working with their students, because we know it takes a lot for the parents to do this as well. So I also have to do a shout out to the athletic department because they want to do their part too. So they have been offering esports. So awesome thing for kids. The kids can connect through that. They can talk with each other. They can interact with each other. And I think connection is so important during this time. Certainly academics are important, but connections with each other as human beings and people that care about each other, I think is probably even more important. And so anything that we can put in place to do that, I think is going to be awesome. I also have to mention, and I did put this out to faculty in a letter, but as I was driving home from the food service delivery and pickup, I saw a bus that had stuffed animals in every window, and I thought, oh, how sweet that, you know, I know every element of our district is working hard on behalf of children, but when I saw that, I thought that's just such a great representation of what our folks do. So I did snap a picture of it. So everyone is doing their part. In terms of what comes now, of course, now we know that the order has been extended through the end of the school year. And so we know we have a big job cut out for us because we do want to engage students and we do want to make learning as fun and as exciting as we can and to keep those relationships and supports going. And so I know teachers are working hard to do that, and they'll be working over the April vacation to get some of these things ready, as will all the other specialists and all the other components of the district that I've mentioned. We also know that transitions are going to be really different this year. And my heart goes out to the seniors and the families of seniors, because this is not the senior year that anyone had planned for. But I do want to say that we are doing some things that I think will make the seniors graduation really special, and it will definitely be memorable because there's not been another time like this. But I'm not going to say what the plans are. The high school principal is working with the students. We're going to get student input because this is about the students and about what is going to be most meaningful to them. And so they'll be a part of planning that activity. Awards we'll try to do virtually. There'll be senior awards. There'll be scholarships. We're also going to try to do a scholarship night virtually. And I don't know that we'll have polished productions, but we'll certainly have productions that will represent and celebrate our kids because they deserve that. And the families, that's such a important thing to families that we're going to make sure that the families get to be a part of that as well in some way. Also, other transitions, some of the work that folks don't see as we go through our daily schedules in school, we're still doing all that work virtually. The transitions from 6th to 7th grade are ongoing, and those folks who have children in the district have seen messages from their school principals about that. Kindergarten registration, that's going to go on a little bit different, but still going to be happening. So we are working hard, and we hope that we are meeting as many needs as we possibly can. We do have some school board meetings coming up. One topic that has been a bit of a hot topic is when we end school. And right now, our calendar has the end as June 19th. And a few parents have asked me, well, gee, I thought we had an excess of hours. And that's why we could do blizzard bag days and have a sure end. And that's true. In some of our schools, we have an excess hours, but all of our schools are different. And each school has a different length of the school day, different recesses, different lunch periods. And so the number of hours that we meet are different per school. And our elementary schools are the schools that are right on that line. And so unless the governor or commissioner were to do a waiver, we're bound to be in school until June 19th. Now, that being said, I do understand that June 19th under these circumstances is pretty long. And so I will be talking with the commissioner about what we can possibly do in Governor Wentworth, and then discussing with the board what they feel the best option is for the end of the school year. I have hesitated to say that, quite honestly, because I don't want to put anything out there that's going to disappoint parents. I really want, there's enough disappointment going around right now and enough stress. But so it's definitely not something that I can say, oh, that June 19th date is going to be different, but I certainly am going to pursue that with. So, and our school board meetings have been virtual. We had our first virtual meeting in April. I think that we're all getting used to the virtual format, and I hope that we'll have another meeting in May, possibly two, because we've got a lot of business to be doing. And hopefully those meetings will go smooth and people will be able to join through a live stream. So that's what I've got.
That was actually quite an impressive report. That was a lot of information. And so I just want to say a couple things real quick. And one of them is going to be a plug out to SAU 49 and Kathy and her staff. And I just want to say this to the folks here listening in Wolfeboro and to the district. I don't know how many of you have ever attended either a school board meeting or the school's deliberative session, the district's deliberative session. And I do every year. I have for probably about the last 14 years, I think, interrupted only by war. The only times I've missed those. And I want to say that the SAU 49 and Kathy, you get a lot of credit for always delivering just an awesome presentation, laying out the needs of the district, and being prophetic and looking long-term, strategically and globally at where education is going, what needs need to be met, and how to take best advantage of that. And I would agree with you that the district did, I think, a phenomenal job. And I was a little curious as to how this was going to happen when the commissioner and the governor was closing the schools and moving the education to a virtual mode. And I think you folks excelled. And I think the state of New Hampshire excelled and really came out in front of a lot of states in the union. And I think it's because of the hard work of folks like yourself and your staff that we're doing the deep dive into where do we need to go? What does education need to look like? How do we do this distance? How do we do this virtually? And whether we realize that we needed to do it during a pandemic or not is irrelevant. The fact that you were prophetic and you were looking long-term, I think speaks volumes. So I just want to put a plug in to you and a plug in for your staff, because you're doing all the right things. And that's what, you and I have a similar job to do for the organizations that we're in. We need to look long-term. We need to do the deep dive. We need to look at the second and third order effects of a lot of different things. And there's a lot of things that we don't know. But that's what we get paid to do. We get paid to do the deep dive and do the research and take a look at the second and third order effects, and then balance all that with a budget and try to present it to people who may not necessarily be thinking like we are. And I always learn a lot from your presentations, and you deliver a very nice product. And I just want to put that out. The second thing I want to put out, and for those of you who know me or may know me well, I was a bit of a challenge, so to speak, in school, and I had a number of teachers that refused to give up on me. As hyperactive and ADD as I was, and by the way, still am, right? The captain will agree to that, although the squirrel. But the point I'm getting at is that I have to give a lot of credit to my teachers that never really gave up on me, that there was a lot of hard work that went into that. And Kathy, I'll tell you right now, you have awesome teachers in your district, and I see it every day. And they deeply care about children, they deeply care about education, and they deeply care about delivering a really quality product. So please pass my high praise on to your teachers and staff at this most critical time. I know, because I hear it from the captain about what it's like doing homeschooling.
And that's what I want to do. Other than him, whose kids are out of the house.
Thank God.
We all know I have 3 young boys who are in 7th, 4th, and 2nd. So I do live this, not as much as my wife lives it right now, but
Oh, and I hear about it.
kudos to her for doing that and her other work after. But it's just amazing what the teachers are doing and your staff and everyone involved.
And I can only imagine how difficult it is on the teachers at this most trying time, especially those teachers that are wrestling with very difficult concepts, whether it's phonics in 2nd grade or whether it's algebra in 6th grade or long division in 4th grade. How did I do? Pretty good. Yeah. So those are really complex topics for young minds, especially when you've never been exposed to that before. And you're right, the parents are doing a great job, and it is difficult. I know, as educated as I am and as my wife is, I know that I certainly would not be able to, I don't have all the skills necessary or needed to homeschool my children. I can only imagine how difficult this is on parents right now and on the teachers. So again, kudos goes out to the district. What a phenomenal report, Kathy. Thank you very much for being on the show.
Well, thank you very much for asking me. I appreciate it.
I'm going to extend my invitation to you again. I want you to come back in maybe 3 or 4 months or so and do this again, because it's just a wonderful, wonderful report. And we really appreciate it. And Captain, with that, I think we're going to wrap this segment up of Coffee and Connections with the Chief. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope I was as entertaining as I can be. And please stay tuned for the safety tip of the month.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you, Jean. Thank you, Mark. Bye-bye.
So welcome back to Coffee and Connections with the Chief. So as the month of May continues, and we're well into spring, the flowers are starting to come up now. We've made it past the April spring rains. And as hot as it's getting, I just want to put out a word of caution to all of our water babies out there, all those who really enjoy the water, such as myself, the avid boaters and the scuba divers and the swimmers. The lake is cold. It's still cold. We didn't have as long, we always have long winters, but we didn't have as cold of a winter as we normally do up here. However, the water is still cold. And And you're talking to somebody that usually likes to get in the water right around Memorial Day. Okay, so and I'm a cold water guy from being in the Army all those years, and I love cold water, but it can be incapacitating and debilitating, especially if it's the first part of the month of May, regardless of how warm it's been outside. So listen, hypothermia can set in very quickly. All right, so I need all of you to help me help you. Be safe. If you're around the water, be safe. The water is very cold. If you're going out on the boat, remember the month of May can be very windy out on the big lake. So if you're going out to your island properties or you're going out fishing or what have you, be mindful of that. The last thing you want to do is end up in the water when the water might be in the high 30s or the low 40s. Hypothermia will set in very quickly. So you need to be very careful. If you are going to go out on the big lake, you're going to go fishing or go out to your cabin, your cottage on one of the islands, that's fine. Make sure you have a plan, and your 5-point contingency plan, right? Let's talk about that. Where am I going? Who am I going with? When am I leaving? When am I coming back? And what to do if I don't return, right? That 5-point contingency plan, that's what you do, right? Make sure you tell a loved one or a friend, hey, this is where I'm going, this is what I'm going to do. And then that way, if something happens, and that appointed time comes when you're not back, then we can start the emergency operations and go out and look for you. But you need to be safe. All right, it's all about being safe at this point. That being said, thank you for joining us with Coffee and Connections with the Chief. Please tune in next month for another segment of Coffee and Connections with the Chief. And if you want to be on the show, just let us know. We'll have you join virtually if we're still in that format. And if not, then you can join us downtown at the grill. And as always, coffee's on me. So please be our guest on Coffee and Connections with the Chief. Just let myself or Captain Mark Livie, the PD's executive officer, know, or email Tim. And Tim Goodwin at Wolfeboro Community TV, let him know you want to be on the show, and maybe give us a little bit of a heads up as to what you want to talk about. We talk about anything you want. We can talk about thermodynamics. We can talk about the coefficient of friction. We can talk about the Boston Red Sox, the New England Patriots, or we could talk about law enforcement. So whatever you want to talk about, we'll be happy to entertain that discussion. So please be my guest for Coffee and Connections with the Chief. Kathy, thank you very much for being on the show, and I look forward to having you back in a few months. In the meantime, all my best. Thank you, folks.